Hi everybody, again hope you're safe and well. This is video 3 for course 1, class number 1, first meeting, video 3. We've already covered the parts of the guitar, which you'll find again in Disler PDFs that I sent, chapter 1, parts of the guitar, and string names, and a bit about tuning. A little bit more about high and low sound on the guitar. We again need to tighten the strings counterclockwise to make the pitch go higher, and loosen going clockwise on the classical guitar here to make them go lower. On the steel string guitar, we mentioned when I'm playing the bass strings and tightening them, I'm going counterclockwise, and when I'm loosening, I'm going clockwise. When I'm looking down at the treble strings on this side, I need to go clockwise to tighten and counterclockwise to loosen. So it's a little different on the steel string bottom. They go the opposite ways, clockwise to tighten and then counterclockwise to loosen. So we also covered the names and numbers of the strings so far: E, A, D, G, B, and E. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So in this video, we're going to get a bit more into the diagrams and symbols and high and low sound. So we already mentioned in a previous video that as you go towards the floor, the sound is getting higher. But as I move the finger up the fretboard and fret notes on a string, the sound will get higher as well. So that's on any string. String is getting higher in sound. And what's happening mechanically there is I'm pressing the string against the fret wire and I'm shortening the string length. As I go up the fretboard, the string vibrating length gets shorter and shorter and the sound gets higher and higher. So as I'm playing, I'm going to need to be very careful about my finger placement. When I put my thumb on the back of the neck, I can be a little bit fluid in how I'm moving that thumb around. I don't want to grip the guitar like this with the crux of my hand palm against the guitar. That will make my fingers short. Even for my bigger hand here, if I do that, I can't touch all the way across the strings with my long fingers. I need to have my knuckles available to come forward. Notice how I'm moving my wrist and I'm rotating on the back of my thumb pad there. So for some of us, that means the thumb's going to be on a little bit more of an angle. For others, that means the thumb's going to be a little straighter. It depends on your specific hand shape. So what I want to do, though, is get used to how hard to press down. I want to stand my fingertip up, and I want to put it close to the fret wire. If I'm not close to the fret wire, I won't make a good contact. And no matter how hard I press, I can't get rid of that buzzing. But if I come close to the fret wire, now I'm not over it because that'll kill the sound, but I'm very close, that'll help give me a clean sound. Again, not clean, clean, not clean, clean. So fret your finger close to the fret that you're seeing closest to the body. So if I'm on the 2nd fret, for example, I want to be close to this fret wire right here, not this fret wire, and my fingers very close to that wire. If you're not sure if you're pressing too hard or too soft, you can do something like touch the string, press a little bit more, so I'm picking on the other side here, until I get a rattling sound and I'm close to the fret wire, notice, and then I press just a little harder to find out exactly how much pressure I need. Oftentimes we're pressing way too hard when we're playing the guitar, and we have to learn how to only use enough energy to get the sound to come out and not to work too hard. It was one of my own personal problems on guitar, to get rid of that pinching too hard. So again, as my fingers go across this way, the sound will get higher, and as my fingers go up the fretboard, the sound will get higher as well. One exercise that I still do as a warm-up over all these years is practicing playing one finger per fret. Now you notice there's a space between my palm and the top of the neck when I start to play the first string, and there's natural space between my fingers. I'm not leaning one way or the other. My pinky's not straight, it's curved, and I'm touching the side of the tip, the opposite side of the tip here, and then pretty much straight down on these fingers. And I'm going to practice playing. And I can leave my fingers down or leave them pointed towards the guitar. What you might find yourself doing is playing and then pointing away with other fingers. This is a sign of tension in your fingers. And it makes it very difficult to play because your finger has to relax and come back down towards the fretboard and press. So if my pinky's way out here, every time it plays, it has to travel all that distance. If I can leave it close by, I can then find the note quickly and accurately. So I would suggest trying that on the highest string, number one, highest in sound, not highest on the guitar visually, highest in sound, and then work your way across, up and down. Then try the second string, third string, fourth string, fifth string. You can go slower than this. You can go as slow as you need to go at first. I would suggest trying to play them evenly though on a beat. So if I slow down, I try to make them even lengths. So I'm practicing that coordination of both hands. Now there I'm just playing with my thumb, the side of the flesh of my thumb, and on the steel string guitar as well. After 15 or 20 minutes of practicing on the side of your thumb on these steel strings, you're going to feel it. So again, this guitar is mostly played with a pick, and the way to hold your pick is to go on a right angle to your thumb and play on the side of your tip joint, not on the flat part of your tip joint of your index finger, but the side of your tip joint. So that means the pick is touching this portion of my finger. That allows my fingers to have a lot of motion. Okay, so I can pluck the guitar without moving my hand at all. And then I have wrist motion. There's a combination of a little finger movement and wrist motion. And then I can put my forearm into it too. That helps give you some weight and a big sound. And then the other motion is this opening the doorknob motion. Very important because this creates a circular plane that the pick is traveling on, and that allows me to dig into a particular string. So if I want to hit the fourth string, I can come in and hit the fourth string and strum through, and then I can upstroke the same way, allowing me to avoid strings that I don't want to hit. And sometimes I don't want to hit certain strings when I'm strumming a group of strings. If I'm just playing on a flat plane, I can't avoid hitting strings that are in the path of that group. So this motion is important. So I've got finger motion, wrist motion, forearm motion, and rotating motion of my forearm. Again, like opening a doorknob. Be real careful that you don't stick too much pick out. The tendency I see players doing is having half the pick sticking out from their thumb. That's way too much pick, and you're going to get a really flappy kind of quality. Not good. So we want a very little pick, about 1/8 of an inch sticking out, and that will give me a much brighter tone. When I'm doing the picking with my fingers, I'm doing this type of motion, like you're walking. Not this, but this. Okay, so the finger is moving from the knuckle, and I am not plucking up on the string. If I pluck up on the string like that, I'm not going to get a good sound. It's going to snap back. So I'm actually, let's see if I can get a good shot of this. I'm actually using my whole finger. Notice my thumb is anchored down. And I'm playing on, I'll make a little line on my finger so you can see where the string is actually hitting my finger. Okay, so that's where I'm planting. I plant on the string, I play and relax. I plant, play, and relax. So if I'm doing that same exercise I was showing a moment ago, this is the motion I'm using to pluck the string. It takes some practice to get used to doing that. So you can just practice on an open string. That's what we do in the classical guitar world. We separate the hands. Not just in the classical guitar world, but that's where I first learned how to do it. So I would practice maybe on the B string, playing all three fingers separately, index, middle, and ring, and trying to get the same tone. And then you can use your thumb as well. So that brings us to what are the symbols for our fingers. We don't label the thumb with a number. We call this T when it's notated in music. Sometimes it's called for to come over the fretboard or do other things, mute or something like that. So T is used for thumb. But we do see 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 for index, 2 for middle, 3 for ring, and 4 for pinky, and those are often found in books like ours to tell and give fingerings. Like, for example, your chord pictures in the back of the book will show the number 2 being used and the number 3 being used for E, M, or E minor. And the picking hand uses letters, P, I, M, and A. P for thumb, I for index, M for middle, and A for ring. They are actually derivatives of Spanish words, a holdover from books and methods a long time ago. It's still used today, just like the Italian terms allegro or adagio are used for fast and slow tempos. We use the Spanish terms P, pulgar. You don't need to know the Spanish for the class, but you do need to know P is thumb, I is index, M is middle, indice, midice, I believe, and annular or ring finger is third finger. Okay, and there are the symbols for our hands: 1, 2, 3, and 4. P, I, M, and A. And if you're wondering, we do not use the pinky to pluck very often. Some very rare instances of that happens. I have a little bit of a nail on my pinky for doing this rasdiato type effect. So I can strum and open my hand and use that as a back of the nail pick, but I don't necessarily pick the string that way for my classical playing or repertoire. So that brings us to, again, you must know those symbols, but you must also know the names of the open strings on the guitar. And there's a diagram in the Distler book and the PDFs on page 3, this diagram here. It is a picture of your guitar looking back at you. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, low on the left, E, A, D, bass strings, treble strings, G, B, E, 3, 2, and 1. And the Roman numerals on the side here are the frets. Fret 1, fret 2, fret 3, fret 4, fret 5. So the vertical lines are the strings, the horizontal lines are the frets, and essentially it's like my guitar looking back at me this way. Very important. These diagrams are used all the time for guitar players, and very helpful if you're not that good of a reader. A picture of the guitar can help you find where to put your fingers. It's become a standard way to teach chords and scales, is to show them in patterns. So that's very important too. So memorize the string names, memorize the left and right hand symbols. You can't tune your guitar unless you know the letter name of the string, so that's going to be the most important thing. And you can't name any notes on your guitar unless you have the starting point of the alphabet. A is the starting letter, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, in the alphabet that we say in school and to spell words with, but any letter can be the starting point of the musical alphabet. It can start on D, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So we go up to G, but we don't go any higher. Once you reach G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that is the final or I should say that is the final letter before you start over again. G is the final letter before you start over again. And that is important in naming notes, which I'm going to address in the next video. And that starts really talking about things in chapter 2. So I'm going to end the video here, and we'll do a part 4 for the first class talking about naming notes. Have a good one. Bye-bye.